Welcome to another episode of Readers and Writers, brought to you by the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods. My name is Dianna Bolen, and I'll be your host for today. And I'm so excited about today's topic. Not only will you meet the very talented and lovely Christine Francis, but you will also learn about an incredible opportunity here in Laguna Woods. So here's the tease. The opportunity is free, it's fun. You will contribute to a greater cause, and it won't cost a penny. You will have a personal guide during the event, and you will leave the event with new, valuable, and important information. What could this event possibly be, you ask? Well, on August 9th, the Publishing Club, in cooperation with the PC Club, will present Family Search. Family Search is a tool for accessing your family history, and you will learn how to use it with the help of your own personal guide in the PC Lab. My guest today is Christine Francis, and she runs a Family Search Center located at her church. Christine is an author of several self-published children's books and runs the Storytellers Club, a writers group. She is also our local coordinator for the Family Search event on August 9th. That's the event I'm excited about, and that's where I met Christine. So without wasting any more time, Christine is going to show you how simple and easy it is to use Family Search on your phone. Welcome, Christine.
Thanks for having me. I'd be happy to show you what we're doing on Family Search right on your phone and how easy it is. Okay, I'm going to just demonstrate real quickly what you can see and what you can do on Family Search Tree app on your phone. You can download it from your app store. All right, so here's my fan. You can have different views of this, but I'll just start with here. I'm in the middle, and because it's a shared tree, this is my part of the tree. It's not my tree, but it's my part of the tree. So I'm going to show you all the different things you can learn. You can learn here just how you're related to these people. I'm going to take you to my father's page. Each person has a detail page that gives you all sorts of information about them. The deceased page is available to be seen. It's a permanent record, and people everywhere who log into Family Search can see this page, actually the fan. You can add more information. So on here you can see that he has spouses, parents, sources, and memories. Memories is the fun thing to do. On memories, all of us have contributed who go to his page. As a person who has created an account, you can add a memory simply at the doctor's office by touching plus, and then you can add a photo. You can take it from your, take a photo right here, right now, or you can actually take from your own camera roll. Pulls up your camera roll, and you can add any picture you want. So that's my camera roll. Also, too, under memories, you can see, here's the photos, here's documents that people have added just by hitting plus. And here's some more stories. I like this story that I've written and contributed, kind of like a social media post. I've contributed this story, which says a little bit about the topic, about my father and my mother. I've added some pictures, and you literally can send a link to someone else. So this is a real easy way to add a document, a story, an audio. You can do an interview. You can record the audio, or you can actually take from your files of your own audios that you've done, and then add them. And there, it's posted just like a social media page on other websites, and then other people can view those same things if they have an account. And there it is.
That was great. How did you become involved in Family Search?
Well, my mother was a genealogist for most of her life, and when she passed away in 2017, she had about 100 banker's boxes full of research. And so she passed them on to my brother and I and said, please take care of them. And that's how I got into Family Search, because it's a fabulous website to help us learn about our families and connect with them. Not just our ancestors, but it helps us connect with our present family, our future family, and of course our past family.
That is remarkable. In fact, I did some research on your church, and I realized that one of the ways that you got started, your church got started in genealogy, was through the belief that church members could actually administer sacraments to people who had already passed on, and that way encourage a connection among the generations. Am I correct about that?
It's more of an ordinance, a blessing, if you will.
Thank you.
Baptism's one, and a lot of people are familiar with a baptism. So we can do that in our temples, and we really want to connect. We want to connect with our families, particularly our ancestors.
Yes, yes, and families and connecting to families is so important in this world today because we are so fragmented.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
We
yes.
we need a lot of healing in families.
Yes, we
And
do.
doing this kind of research on your ancestors helps your family learn how to handle lots of things in their life. So I'm very committed to doing this family history.
Do you have any stories about that? Personal stories?
Yes,
Oh,
I
please.
have a lot of personal stories. One which I actually shared with the pub club in June, on June 7th. We had a fabulous workshop, and I invited all the members of the pub club to share their own family stories with one another. And I'd give them a prompt, and they would talk about their lives, and then they would listen as the other person talked. So family history and family search particularly has a chance to capture those stories and record them. And then we can all share the same tree, so we're able to go into family search, create an account. It's all free. There's no advertising on it. And we can share just little life stories with one another. And so I have learned so much about my own ancestors, particularly during the pandemic and during COVID. I was able to look up and find some family members that we had stories of already published, essentially, on Family Search. And we were able to see that they too had suffered some of the same things we are in a very, very real way. They lost one of my great-great-grandfathers. He lost 6 of his boys. They had 13 children, and they had 6 of his boys, and 2 of them were lost. 3 of them between typhoid fever in 1911, and then he lost a son and his wife within a day of each other in 1919. And then in 1921, he lost his son he was electrocuted, leaving family, little children behind. And it was really a meaningful time to see how they handled crisis.
Yes.
And with honor and with love and compassion for one another.
Yes.
It was really a nice thing to learn in 2000.
Yes, and that's so important, that putting one's own experiences of grief or triumph in the context of a larger picture and in the context of even the human race.
That's right. That's right. And it really creates and breeds kindness and empathy when you talk about your story and people listen and you listen to their stories. I think it will actually heal the world if we
I think so
if
too.
we listen to one another.
Yes.
And Family Search is a way we can do that.
I think so too, because I was in my research before the show, I realized that you have, not you specifically, but the church has family search centers around the world.
Yes.
And people are inputting data daily around the world.
Yes, we have over 5,000 centers.
Wow.
And I get to run one, which is just such a blessing in my life.
Yes, yes. And speaking of blessings, I did take the first workshop at the PC Center, and I was energized.
Right.
And I'll tell the audience a little story. So my family is pretty fragmented, and I made a joke to my trainer coach, who was with me there, the volunteer, and I said that we're not going to find anything because my family's all in prison. And it was a joke, but but they are fragmented. So, so anyway, so I put in the initial information, my father's name and my mother's name. Nothing came up. And I was like, see, that's what this is. But actually, and the volunteer said, don't worry, this is going to work out. Let's put in more information. And then suddenly, it just started to explode with generations of information.
Yes.
And I mean, I just got in about a quarter of the amount of information I wanted in there, because it does take a while to like put in the birth date and everything like that, death date. But it was very exciting, and it did. I left that event feeling really warm and happy.
Yeah, I noticed that with the people in the room. They were really touched because you just have to give it just a little information, and then the computer goes and looks for the common relatives that you have with people who have put the information on. So it's a shared tree. It's not your own tree like Ancestry.
Yes.
It's a shared tree. So your cousins could be my cousins. We might have a common ancestor, and it will show you that. It's really quite remarkable, particularly at our age where we really want first our story to be told at our age. And we also want to help have that story for future generations to see at any point. So you can go on your computer, on your phone, just like we demonstrated, and we can just add more stories, more photos, and more sources, and the computer will go look for more, and more, and more, and we all become connected. And it's really quite appealing, I think, to most people.
And I think my volunteer showed me. Oh no, maybe it was you showed me how you could tag a person in a photo in the tree, and then would that help find other people?
Yes. Well, the computer is looking for information, so as long as you put it in correctly, then the algorithms can read it and find more records that tell you more of the story. And then you'll have a cousin, our distant cousin, that's adding, say, a family book that they've written. Some of these books that I have here are family books, and they're on there in bite-sized pieces for people to see generations later. And photos as well. And tagging them is just like social media. Okay, let's tag the people in this picture, and if they're deceased, people can see them, because that's a permanent record.
Yes.
If they're not deceased, people can't see them, although they might see them with a deceased person in a picture.
Yes.
Okay? But the tagging can't be done for living people.
Oh.
That's only your own record that you have access to. Nobody else has access to
And
that.
why is that?
To protect the privacy of the living people.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I thought the program was very thoughtful.
Yes, it was.
And very easy to use.
Oh, thank you. I
Yes.
loved it.
Yes.
I love it.
I did
and I love
too.
sharing that with people. Every time somebody comes into my Family Search Center, they are touched. Nancy's a good example of that. She found her
Our
biological
president of the Pub Club. Yeah.
And she found a picture of her biological father. She had never seen a picture of him, and in a newspaper article.
Wow.
And she was really quite astounded as to and how he looked, and I thought looked very much like her. So,
Well, my dad used to joke that there was a statue of him in Warsaw, but I doubt that I'll see that.
my husband's waiting for one for himself.
That's great. So, what effect does it have on you to run the family search centers?
Again, I think my commitment to people rejoining and reclaiming their family, with a lot of pain in families, like you were saying, kind of these strange family members, that we all carry. It's a bowl full of lots of different ingredients, but we get to see people come in and kind of jump over maybe what currently is a painful in their life, and see how people dealt with pain and suffering or with joy and happiness, And learning about those things and helping somebody find them is quite astounding. And often we'll pull out our phone, and on our app on our phone, we can find out the relatives around us. And as long as they have a phone and they have the app on their phone, we can see our common ancestor.
Do you mean like location-wise?
You can know that you're my third cousin
I
through
see.
the common ancestor.
Got it.
Got
it.
And
that would be a nice addition, though, if you're
Yes.
like, hey,
yes.
Auntie is down the street
Auntie's down
at
the
Trader Joe's.
At Trader Joe's. No, that's for your husband or wife or friend, a significant other to check out. No, we can't do it. That's the privacy thing. We're protecting people's privacy.
Got it. Well, I also want to introduce the books that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, and there's quite a pile here.
Quite a pile.
So where do you want to start?
Well, my family is historians. My father, my mother were historians, and they left a ton of journals, writings that they shared with their family at the time, and I would like to gather them and put them into one book. We did that for my father-in-law, so I'll share that first story. So this is my father-in-law, and through a it's a self-publishing company called Storyworth. You might have seen that on advertisements on the TV. Storyworth collects the stories of the person as a subscription. So every week, this person, whoever it is, for I think it's like $150 or something, they have a subscription. Storyworth sends them a prompt. You can change the prompt up, and then the person writes a little story, just very simply, and then I did the editing on here for him, and then added a bunch of pictures of him, and then by the end of the year, Storyworth produces a book free of charge for them. And then if you want to order any more, it's like $70 a book. But this is, we were able to give him for Christmas
Let's
this
show some
finished.
pictures, yeah.
Yeah.
Some pictures.
So this is his story. Right here. He wrote the story, and we added the pictures. I did a little editing on it. And I mean, you can just see for his whole family. It's really a beautiful gift. And it's very touching when you give it to him.
Yes.
So he had written the stories, but he hadn't seen them all put together with the pictures and everything. And anyway, that was worth $1 million because he ended up passing away 4 months later.
Oh my!
Unexpectedly, very unexpectedly. So we were able to get these books to everyone of his descendants, and it was really, really a great way to publish your story. So it's a great idea. One of the other books that I helped my daughter do, we told a family story. This is called Magic Skin Doll. And we had told this story that was written actually by my husband's aunt. And we went ahead and did some editing on it, but we told it every Christmas traditionally. It's a story about one Christmas in my husband's father's family. There was a family, they had 13 children, and the mother was a widow, and the aunt who wrote this book, she was probably 6, and it's about a little magic skin doll she got for Christmas from her mother, from Santa, who she knew couldn't afford it. It's really a tender story, and my daughter just went ahead and illustrated it.
Oh,
and she put the story. Yes, she's the one that's illustrated my books too. So anyway, self-publishing is the way to go with some of these stories, in my opinion. I'll get to mine last. The last one I just want to share is my husband's book. Again, I helped him edit it. This is called Semi-Terrific Tales from the Pandemic. And during the pandemic in 2020, soon right after we were shut down in March, he decided to write a story every day for his grandchildren. And he titled the whole collection of the stories Semi-Terrific Tales from the Pandemic. So he did it for 100 days in a row. And he labeled them, he named the characters in these stories his grandchildren. The stories are all made up. They're
but
fictional, but they're adventurous and wonderful, and I really think he needs to actually publish this to sell, because I think he could really do it. But the first story is called Magic Gum. It's the best story ever. It's really, really a lot of fun. And, he would just add quotes and stuff. It was really, The Girl Who Spoke to Lions is the next, and that's about my granddaughter. And she never spoke to lions, but how fun.
Yes.
This is just so delightful.
Yes.
So it's his way. He's a terrific writer. So they're semi-terrific.
How was this published?
This was published through a self-publishing club, I think, called Baby Blurb. There's a great article that shows you the best 10 self-publishing companies, and I think I'd recommend you to go through that list. At the bottom of the list is a Baby Blurb and books, or I can't remember what they were called, but he published that one through there, and that was fabulous. Now mine are a little more homemade. I really wanted mine to feel homemade. My goal, I think it's really important when you're writing that you have a goal for writing, who you're writing to.
Your audience.
And I don't know about you, but my grandchildren want to hear stories about themselves all day long. And I'll have to tell you, most adults want to hear stories about themselves. I think that's what's called social media. But social media is not very truthful lots. Anyway, so I wrote a story about each of my grandkids and just some of the things they did that were so funny, and they told about their personality, and then my daughter illustrated. So you can see I hand wrote the script, or the text, and my daughter illustrated. Here's some of the illustrations here, and it's only paperback, and I just put this actually through a printer, and I've written 7 of these stories. And then I decided to make a little audible version of them. And I recorded myself with the website or the platform of a GarageBand.
Oh, yes.
And so I added in background music and had, me telling the story. And so that's all digitized. And I can put this on Family Search, just like this, with me telling the story.
Oh, wow.
On Family Search. So it's really,
Yeah,
it's
that's
been really
excellent.
fun. Yeah, so I did one for each of my grandchildren. And, part of my reasoning was sometimes some of my grandchildren, their mothers need to know that why I love my grandchildren. And their mothers sometimes need to remember why they love their own children.
Yes.
And so it was my opportunity to show how just special and magical having children are and grandchildren, and they can read it anytime they want.
Yes. So on a technical, not too technical, but a little bit. So how did you get the binding on here?
I had it digitized. We created it, and then I had it digitized. We actually
what does
created
that
it by
mean?
hand, meaning they
Digitized.
put it right onto the computer and put it in the right formatting so that they could print it out correctly so that the binding could fit. And then they bound it for me.
And who's they?
Well, it's a printing company, local printing company. And you know what? I'd love to say who it was, but I've forgotten their name. I'll have to remember.
that's
It's been
all
a few
right.
years since I did these.
Yeah, but the illustrations are beautiful.
Yeah, yes. And she just took pictures of them, and then she just she outlined them
And
just
watercolored them.
them herself. So I mean, these are actual pictures that she has done. Now you can do that online. There's a lot of companies that will do that online. They will actually kind of make it look watercolory, whatever you sent them picture-wise, and make it look like a regular children's illustrated book.
Wow.
So there's a lot of companies out there that will do that.
This is really phenomenal.
Isn't that
This
great?
is a lot of information. So the church that Christine belongs to is called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it started to collect genealogical records so that the deceased relatives could receive rites, which are called ordinances or blessings after death. And that's because her church has a value about connecting families, that families are the center of part of the center of things in your church. And the blessings that are able to go across generations then provide a kind of string, if you will, that connects families. Now, can you give a blessing forward?
Well, that's what we do. We do vicarious baptisms and ordinances in the temple, in our temples. That's what we do. Therefore, our direct lines are our ancestors, so we can physically, vicariously do that baptism for one of our ancestors.
So should I be calling your place of worship a temple?
No,
or
we
church?
have temples, and we have one in Newport Beach, and they are open for those ordinances.
Oh, I
And
see.
Yes, that's what they're there for. And then our churches is where we meet, like a synagogue or any other Christian church as well. We are also Christians.
Yes.
And that's where we worship on Sundays, and we have activities, and we also happen to have a family search center in our church building. We have an institute building. Anyway, there's a lot of activities going on all week long with the youth. We're going to have a camp in the Family Search Center for the youth to learn about their families and how to research.
Oh, that's going to be helpful because kids need grounding.
They sure do.
And that will be a wonderful way to give them the grounding.
Yeah,
yes.
they will.
Yes.
And they need to have an identity. Right now, that's a real identity crisis things going on among this generation, especially. And there's been a number of studies out there that will tell you the more the children and youth, adolescents, and young adults, the more they know about their family's history, the more resilient they are, and the more ability they know to identify themselves as family members, as part of a family. And when you can jump over maybe what's going on in the family right now and help them see that the family extends way beyond just themselves, you know, those ancestors, and then they want to start kind of bringing up their own good values to be able to keep something for future family.
Yes.
And they want to stand for something of worth. And I think it's really great for the kids to learn about their family, and very important.
Well, and anytime you can get anyone to think about something bigger than themselves,
That's right.
It's a win.
That's right. It is.
Yes.
So we're going to have 2 sessions of that next
wonderful.
week, and then in July we'll have another session for the youth.
Wow.
We're excited.
So quickly before we finish up, so as the church grew and expanded around the world, the interest in genealogy expanded as well. And then in 1894, the Genealogy Society was established in Utah. Now, this eventually became Family Search. And it's a nonprofit with a vast collection of data and information that can be accessed by anybody for free.
Yeah, for free.
Yes. So we have, again, I want to remind you that we do have an event coming up in Laguna Woods on August 9th from 1 to 3 in the PC Center. And if you have submitted a gene sample to Ancestry, if you're considering recording your life experiences, if you're writing a memoir.
That's right.
This is a tool for you.
That's right.
Yes, and it's free. So I want to remind viewers as well that this show appears several times a week on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:30 every week at p.m. And new episodes are every month. Also, I want to thank Christine for being here and our viewers. And hopefully there's more and more of them. And if you have any questions or comments or know someone that would like to be on the show, you can reach me at my email, which is readersandwriterstv6@gmail.com. I'm losing my voice. Anyway, have a delightful day and hope all goes well.